In today's architectural journey, we explore an inspiring transformation, how a small Brutalist-style concrete apartment evolves into a romantic Parisian retreat through the subtle power of hidden textures. At first glance, Brutalist architecture may appear cold, rigid, and uncompromising. Yet behind its raw concrete surfaces lies an incredible opportunity for reinvention. This apartment demonstrates how thoughtful design can soften the harshness of concrete, blending strength with intimacy, and transforming an industrial shell into a poetic living space filled with warmth, elegance, and quiet romance. The story begins outside the building, where the Brutalist structure proudly displays its unapologetic concrete facade. Thick structural lines, exposed surfaces, and geometric forms create an architectural presence that feels monumental despite the apartment's modest size. The exterior remains intentionally untouched, preserving its bold character. Rather than hiding this identity, the designers chose to respect the raw architecture, allowing the transformation to occur inside, where texture, light, and subtle materials begin rewriting the emotional language of the space. Approaching the entrance, visitors experience the transition between the urban exterior and the intimate interior world waiting beyond the door. The entry corridor still reveals exposed concrete surfaces, reminding us of the building's structural honesty. Yet even here, the designers begin introducing quiet softness, warm-toned lighting, subtle wall finishes, and carefully chosen materials that gently guide the senses. The threshold becomes more than a doorway. It acts as the first chapter in a narrative of transformation. The guiding philosophy of this renovation was simple yet powerful. Do not erase the concrete, but reinterpret it. Instead of covering every surface, the designers used hidden textures to soften the space while preserving its architectural integrity. Layers of plaster, linen, wood, and stone subtly interact with the concrete foundation. This delicate balance creates a dialogue between rawness and refinement, allowing the apartment to express both brutalist strength and Parisian romance simultaneously. Inside the apartment, the entry space is compact but carefully composed. Built-in cabinetry disappears into the walls, finished with matte plaster textures that gently absorb light. The floor transitions from cool concrete into warm natural wood, immediately shifting the emotional atmosphere. Even within this small area, design details create depth. Textured surfaces, concealed lighting, and minimal ornamentation set the tone for the rest of the home. Moving further inside, the apartment opens into the living room, an intimate yet expressive space. The raw concrete ceiling remains exposed, reminding occupants of the building's structural origins. However, the walls introduce a completely different feeling. Soft lime plaster finishes, woven fabrics, and natural textures begin to shape the room's identity. The once harsh brutalist shell gradually transforms into a calm and romantic living environment. Hidden textures play the central role in this design transformation. Rather than relying on bold decoration, the designers focus on subtle layers that reveal themselves slowly. A wall may appear smooth at first glance, but closer inspection reveals delicate plaster strokes. Upholstery hides woven patterns beneath neutral tones. Even the curtains contain fine textile structures that catch light differently throughout the day. These textures quietly soften the concrete surroundings. Despite the apartment's brutalist origins, the interior draws inspiration from classic Parisian apartments. The designers introduce elements such as soft moldings, delicate furniture silhouettes, and elegant proportions. These details do not imitate historic interiors directly. Instead, they reinterpret Parisian refinement in a contemporary way. The result is a subtle fusion of two architectural worlds, brutalist structure and Parisian grace. Lighting plays a crucial role in shaping the apartment's atmosphere. Instead of harsh overhead illumination, the designers rely on LED lighting strategies. Wall sconces wash warm light across textured plaster surfaces, while concealed LED strips emphasize architectural lines. As evening falls, the apartment glows softly, transforming the raw concrete ceiling into a dramatic yet elegant backdrop. The furniture selection carefully balances the strong architectural framework. Curved sofas, rounded armchairs, and sculptural coffee tables soften the rigid geometry of the concrete structure. Upholstery in warm fabrics, linen, velvet, and wool, adds comfort and visual warmth. Each piece feels carefully chosen, not only for aesthetics but for its ability to contrast the structural hardness of the building. Adjacent to the living area, a small dining corner captures the spirit of a Parisian cafe. A compact round table allows circulation to remain fluid within the limited space. Elegant chairs with slender legs reinforce the room's lightness, while a textured wall finish behind the table creates a subtle backdrop. Even in a compact apartment, this corner becomes a romantic place for conversation and shared meals. The kitchen continues the philosophy of hidden textures and quiet elegance. Cabinets blend seamlessly into the walls with soft plaster finishes, eliminating visual clutter. Natural stone countertops introduce subtle patterns that complement the surrounding materials. Rather than appearing as a separate functional zone, the kitchen becomes an integrated architectural element within the living space. A limited material palette ensures harmony throughout the apartment. Concrete, plaster, wood, stone, and textiles appear repeatedly in different forms. This consistency prevents the small space from feeling fragmented. Instead, each material interacts with the others, building a layered environment that feels both cohesive and deeply tactile. Moving deeper into the apartment, the atmosphere gradually becomes more intimate. The corridor leading to the bedroom narrows slightly, creating a sense of retreat from the public areas. Lighting becomes softer, and wall textures grow warmer in tone. The designers carefully orchestrate this transition to prepare the senses for the calm environment of the sleeping space. The bedroom embraces a quiet and romantic aesthetic. Soft fabric panels behind the bed introduce texture while also improving acoustics. The concrete ceiling remains visible, but its presence feels gentler against the warm materials below. Neutral tones dominate the palette, allowing the textures themselves to become the primary visual experience. Textiles play a defining role in the bedroom's atmosphere. Linen bedding, woven throws, and subtle drapery layers add softness and movement. When natural light filters through the curtains, the textures become even more visible, creating delicate shadows that animate the room. These textile layers transform the once rigid brutalist environment into a space of comfort and romance. The bathroom continues the apartment's design narrative with refined restraint. Stone surfaces replace exposed concrete, creating a smoother tactile experience. Warm lighting highlights the textures of the stone and plaster walls. Even within a limited footprint, the bathroom feels serene, offering a quiet retreat that complements the apartment's overall atmosphere. In a small apartment, storage must remain discreet. Built-in cabinets blend seamlessly with textured wall surfaces, often becoming almost invisible. Handles are minimal or integrated into the design, allowing the walls to remain visually uninterrupted. This strategy preserves the apartment's calm aesthetic while maximizing functionality. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of this project is its emotional transformation. What once felt like a rigid concrete box now evokes warmth, intimacy, and elegance. Through hidden textures, layered lighting, and thoughtful materials, the designers redefined the emotional language of brutalist architecture. This apartment demonstrates that strength and romance are not opposing ideas in architecture. The raw structure provides honesty and character, while soft materials bring comfort and human scale. Together, they create a balanced environment where modern design and timeless elegance coexist. In the end, this small Brutalist-style concrete apartment proves that even the most uncompromising architecture can become a place of beauty and emotion. Through careful design, hidden textures, and Parisian inspiration, raw concrete evolves into soft elegance. The result is more than a renovation. It is a poetic reminder that architecture always holds the potential for transformation.